Even my first year of law school, I used to make videos called Law in a Snap, just about the things I was learning that day, because a lot of my friends were interested in going to law school, or I'd get people reaching out to me asking how it was. So I'd do Law in a Snap, just talking about various things I learned. It was kind of my own getaway blog, I would say, for fun. And that turned into me doing it on Instagram. I would post it to my Instagram. I would follow law pages, law student meme pages. And before you knew it, we were collaborating on blogs together to tell people about law school or who are interested in law school. And that alone helped me increase my audience, already start my branding while in law school, and get cases when I was in law school, actually, from people whose family members had been hurt because they knew I already worked at a law firm. So it started early on, way before I started my practice.
This is Dustin Sanchez at DustinSanchezTV.com. You're watching the Lawyer Marketing Show, and this is show number 6. And today we have a very special guest, Attorney Miriah Soliz of the Soliz Law Firm out of Houston, Texas. Mariah is a personal injury attorney, and I'm just going to read some of her accolades here. Also, once I bring her on, I'm going to verify that I'm saying that name correctly. But Mariah has been featured in Houston's Top Attorney in Houstonia magazine. She's a Texas Super Lawyers Rising Star from 2020 and 21. She's one of the youngest featured attorneys in the Texas Lawyers Trailblazer magazine. She won that award in 2020. And just today, she was featured in ShoutoutHTX.com, a Houston website. She's a graduate of the University of Houston undergrad, actually my alma mater. She went to Thurgood Marshall School of Law, graduated 2018. She interned for the Supreme Court of India. We'll probably want to get some of that info as a law clerk. And let me just bring her into the stream. 3, 2, 1, here we go.
Well, Dustin, it's great to be on your show. I absolutely love watching it, so it's great to be on it today.
All right. Well, we're glad to have you. Now, let me just ask you, am I saying your name right? Mariah.
You are. A lot of people say Maria, but I say, hey, it's Mariah, like Mariah Carey, except I can't sing. So just remember.
Okay, so like Mariah Carey. Perfect. Okay, Mariah. Well, you've seen the show at least once, I know. You know the format. Let's just start with getting some background. Are you? Who are you? How did you get into the practice of law? What are you currently doing?
Well, I'm a native Houstonian, actually. I was born and raised here. I went to U of H, your alma mater as well. Go Cougs. And once I graduated, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to go to law school. And part of that was because during college, I worked for a plaintiff's law firm and I was a paralegal. So I started from the bottom doing the personal injury work and decided I loved it enough to go to law school and put myself through that hell. During law school, I've met a lot of people. I went to Thurgood Marshall, which was a wonderful school. And after that, continued working in plaintiff's personal injury and worked throughout law school.
Okay. Well, you came on my radar because I try to keep up with attorneys that are doing their own marketing. And right. I initially noticed your Instagram account maybe 3 years ago, 3, maybe 2 years ago. And I just started following you, seeing what you're doing. I think you have about 31,000 followers now. But before we get into the marketing, one of the things I've noticed different lately about your content on Instagram, it seems like you're going solo now. Like you're kind of starting your own firm. And I really want to talk about that process. Like, I know you were working for the Ammons firm, which also I interviewed with them as a law student.
Oh, really?
They offered me an internship. I just wasn't able to take it. Something else came up. It was a good interview. I tell people I sat across from Mr. Ammons, and he said something like, your GPA is kind of low. which it was. And I said, look, man, I'll put my work ethic up against any GPA in this firm. And he just kind of like sat back and smiled and he goes, I said that same thing to Joe Jamel 20 years ago, or some big wig attorney 20 years ago. Anyway, I tell people that story anytime they talk about the Ammons firm. It was a great experience interviewing with them. But
good to hear. After law school, I worked with a few plaintiffs' firms, and I ultimately ended up at Ammons. And this is after, now I'm 3 years into my practice, and I worked with Ammons for 2 years. And one day we started talking because I've been generating my own cases and working my own docket with him. And he said, I think it's time for you to go co-counsel because I really think I'm hindering your ability to go out and do some of the smaller cases I was referring out, and just the ability to have the freedom in my schedule. So once we talked it out, I did decide to go solo, start my firm. He helped push me to do that, and we are still co-counsel. So he's been kind of a great mentor with me in starting my own firm. But now we are only 3 months into my own firm. So feel free to, ask me as many questions you want about that process and how it's been, because it's been great. And I do credit you for these videos, especially your YouTube channel, because it's helped me grow my Instagram.
Wow. Thank you. You said something amazing, that I don't know Mr. Ammons' first name. I've just been calling him Mr. Ammons, but the fact that he encouraged you on, most people, when they identify a superstar in their firm, they want to hold on to that person. And his initial thing was to encourage your growth. Hey, we may be holding you back. I want you to spread your wings, go out on your own. I just think that's amazing. A credit to Mr. Ammons for doing that. I don't think as lawyers, we spend enough time talking about the importance of mentors, of finding someone who's doing what you want to do and just asking for a hand up, not a handout, but how, and just I'm just getting chills almost thinking about him doing that for you. That's really awesome.
I really couldn't believe it, but there's this point where I can only be on his docket under him, go to trial as the second chair. And I think he knew I was wanting more as well. I want to do my own trials. I want to have my own clients. And really, by referring out my smaller cases, I was losing money. And that also was an eye-opening thing for him. And it's hard to have bosses that realize that, because you're right, they do want to hang on to people, usually not say, hey, go out on your own. But this is why he came up with this co-counsel arrangement, so he could still have me on his docket that I was on before, but also maybe work with new cases with me in the future.
Okay, great. Now, I guess both of you realized that in that process, you were generating your own cases, and you graduated 2018. So it's extremely early in your career for you to be generating your own cases. How did you initially start doing that?
Even my first year of law school, I used to make videos called Law in a Snap, just about the things I was learning that day, because a lot of my friends were interested in going to law school, or I'd get people reaching out to me asking how it was. So I'd do Law in a Snap, just talking about various things I learned. It was kind of my own getaway blog, I would say, for fun. And that turned into me doing it on Instagram. I would post it to my Instagram. I would follow law pages, law student meme pages. And before you knew it, we were collaborating on blogs together to tell people about law school or who are interested in law school. And that alone helped me increase my audience, already start my branding while in law school, and get cases when I was in law school, actually, from people whose family members had been hurt because they knew I already worked at a law firm. So it started early on, way before I started my practice, building that audience.
My mind is blown here because the University of Houston Law Center invited me back to speak, and I stood there on a panel of people, and they were all bunch of lawyers there, and they're all talking about the basics of practicing law. And when it came my turn to speak, I said, look, anybody can practice law every year, 3 times a year, 3 more graduating classes, and everyone's looking at me like, what the heck? And I'm like, none of you know how to generate business right now. And
Right.
it's the people like you I can always identify. You didn't even say as a 3L, you said year 1L year, I'm making videos about what I'm learning in the law. And at 1L, you knew nothing. And that is the perfect time to make videos because you can teach from the ground level. What were you making those on Snapchat or something? You said law on a snap.
Yes, on Snapchat, and I called it Law on the Snap. But looking back at some of them now, they're not great. They're just me FaceTime view basically with my audience. But I've gotten a lot better, and I'm continuing to do these short, quick, informational videos, and people really love it. And I get a lot of followers of people in law school or even those now who have graduated and are attorneys, and now we can do business together.
Wow. I tell people that all the time because nobody wants to do videos. And I tell them, get on Snapchat where nobody's watching you and make a 15-second video. There's no risk. Uh, what just amazes me, and I want people to pick up on this, okay? 90% of law students, 1L year, they're sitting in class and they're thinking, I'm going to get good grades. Somebody is going to give me a job for 160,000 years. Somebody's going to allow me to make a living. And it's that 10% who are sitting in law school saying, F that, I'm going to make this happen for myself. I'm going to go get the business. And I don't know how the universe brings these people to me, but I just don't think it's a coincidence that we're sitting on this interview right now.
Yeah.
And sharing this with the world. Like, you can write your own story. You don't have to. I'm sure you were, I saw that you had been to Harvard Law School for a negotiation thing. I'm sure you had the GPA to match. Okay, there's a lot of people in there with crap GPAs who aren't getting the big law interviews. And if they would just learn how to generate business, not even generate business, how to get attention on the internet, which is really all you were doing.
Yeah.
And the business will come, and then you can take that anywhere. Anyone will hire you, no matter what your GPA says, if you can generate attention.
Right. So while you're in law school, you can start promoting and marketing yourself. Beyond just going to networking events, you should already hit the ground running because you may not get that interview, or you may change your mind from 1L year to I want to be a corporate lawyer, and by 3L you want to be a criminal defense attorney. So I think it's good to start branding yourself while you're in law school, since you can't say you're a lawyer or an attorney, but you can start telling people about your experience and what you're learning, just so they know, oh, they're in law school.
Yes, and mark my words here. Today's October 6th, 2021. Mariah, you said that you may not get the interview. And, I know because I was in law school, what you mean is your GPA may not warrant an interview. Right. Today's October 6th, 2021. Within the next 5 years, law students are going to start getting interviews because of their follower count, because they have 20,000, regardless of their GPA, because they have 20,000 followers on Instagram, they're going to start getting interviews. Because they have TikTok on lockdown, they're going to start getting interviews regardless of GPA. And within 10 years, that's going to become more important than your GPA, is the audience you already have locked in with basically the caseload you have locked in.
And your ability to connect with an audience or potential clients is more important than a grade, to me at least, because all of my employees need to be able to connect with my clients and my audience. And if you can captivate an audience, you can captivate a courtroom. So that will be an important factor, and I believe it's more important than GPA.
Yeah, I agree with you. And it's funny how it seems as if you figured out marketing by yourself, because I follow this other attorney. He goes by @CEO Lawyer on Instagram. His name is Ali Awad. And he said, he's a personal injury attorney, and he says, look, we're not doing lead generation, which is what I say all the time. You're not doing lead generation. Personal injury law is a branding play. You want someone, the moment they get in an accident, to already be familiar with your brand. Oh, seek Soliz. I just got in an accident. I'm sitting on I-45. Instagram, seek Soliz. DM, hey, I just got in an accident. What should I do? Bam, she's in your funnel. And that's what you said. In law school, you weren't a lawyer, so you couldn't lead generate. You were brand building. You were building the Miriah Soliz brand, and it's paying off for you big time now. So I'm so glad you said that, because when I can invite other attorneys on these shows and they say the things that I'm trying to teach people, it at least gives me something to send my own client. Hey, somebody's listening.
That's right. It's super important, and Facebook should also be, highly used by all attorneys. It's free social media. Instead of turning to Google pay-per-click, which so many do in Houston, I take over all of the free avenues that I don't think they're using to the fullest potential, or they're paying a company to post a template for.
Yeah, anytime you're using Google, it's because nobody knows who you are. Somebody's looking for a keyword instead of looking for you by name.
Right.
So I say just solve that problem. Make people know who you are. Let's talk about the process of, I want to say hanging your own shingle, but going it alone. And I think you've really solved it by having a mentor to ask questions. But tell me about the fear of, now I'm handling my own cases. Now I'm the lead first chair attorney.
Right. There's a lot of pressure that goes into having your own docket and running your own firm, because you need to know the business side of things and the legal side of things. And you also have to market yourself while you're doing those things. So having a mentor is an extremely smart and helpful thing to do. You can go to them with questions, or if you're looking for a sample type of document that you need to draft, they're going to be able to help you with that. I think if you're ready to hang your own shingle, or you may never feel ready, you've just got to prepare in advance of doing it. And taking your advice, making videos before starting, preparing your client list before starting your firm, can really remove the stress of the initial beginnings of starting your firm. Having a set client list with emails and contacts, having your social media posts ready so you can just get those on, autopilot, will take away all of the other stress that comes with running a practice. And I think that's important for people to know if they plan on starting their own practice, to just have certain things in place that will make it easier for them later.
Okay, well, regarding the business side of a law firm, do you have some previous experience with that, like running some other business, or did you have to learn everything on the fly as you were going?
I've really had to learn on the fly. I haven't, managed or run another business. This is my only business, first business. So I'm learning every day something new, because you have to be the first. Everybody comes to me for answers. You've got to learn how to do payroll, how to do your own accounting in certain circumstances, setting up IOLTA accounts, setting up an LLC, trademarking, you name it, you've got to learn it. Even if you're hiring someone else to do it, you need to know what they're doing for you, so you've got to learn it anyways.
Yeah, it just takes so much courage to start your own business, that especially as a law firm, because like you said, you're doing everything all at the same time. And in your case, you're learning that stuff as you're doing it.
And not only that, but you're taking away, you were paid a high salary before, and just using that, and now no one's paying you. So you're on your own dime, and your own expenses are coming your way. So you've got to handle that as well. So you've got to really have the courage to leave that high paying lawyer job that you hate to start your own. And just go for it. I would say it's hard. You may never feel ready, but if you don't take
that's true.
I mean,
I think having cash reserves kind of helps you to feel ready. I had maybe $116,000 in a 401k when I went out on my own, and that number got down to under 10,000 before I really started making money. What kind of cash reserve sort of planning did you do? Any at all? Or you just jumped into it or what?
So I did plan the cash reserve. So about 5 years ago, I thought maybe one day I would start a law firm. And this was, yeah, 5 years before I was even practicing, because I didn't know if I would get a job anywhere. And I worked throughout law school, and several of the firms I clerked for, when I asked about hiring positions after, would say, we're not really hiring people with that level of experience. So I started putting money away 5 years before actually starting a firm or even knowing I would start a law firm. And every month I would put 10% of my check away. So by the time I did get ready to start and was at a good place with my case docket with Rob, I mean, we'd settled several cases together for a good amount. I had, over 100,000 to start it saved.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I budget accordingly each month, how much to spend. And my goals list is always in my desk. I actually,
Yes.
I have it written out.
It's so
But
awesome.
forget, they're always there to remind me, you've got to meet these goals if you want your business to survive.
Wow. Just so much to unpack there. And
Mhm.
I'm going off a script here, the questions I'm going to ask you. And one of them is, what's your 5-year plan? And I guess I can line through that. I just want to get out there that people need to be, these are the things they don't teach you at law school. Write your goals down, budget 10% for a rainy day.
Mhm.
They don't teach you, I have a nuclear engineering degree. They don't teach you that there.
Right.
These are the things you learn from experience, I guess. But it's just so good that you're talking about all this stuff, the business side of, and it's not like you had to get an MBA to know this, to know to put 10% away for rent just in case. And you started planning 5 years.
Mhm.
And I think a lot of people, like myself, I keep these are my goals right now. I keep a 5-year list of goals. I keep a 10-year,
Yeah.
and at least 30 minutes. I get nervous filming these every time, like it's the first time. And so I was just freaking nervous. I was like, you know what? Forget it. I'm going to go write down my goals again. I wrote, I have to interview this many people to get to this level of income. And this is just one of those things. So it's just awesome that you can tell lawyers who may be starting out, look, just do the basics, budget, write your goals down, mentorship, planning, this whole planning aspect that you talk about. And you were planning in law school, like that's unheard of. Most people are just trying to get to pass that class that they're in right now,
Yeah.
not planning for the future 5 years ahead. So that's awesome.
Mhm. Yeah, I firmly believe if you plan and write out your goals, you can make them happen. But if you don't have a written plan, you're not going to remember, or anything to remind yourself of, that keep yourself accountable. You've got to start doing that at a young age.
Absolutely. Okay. And before we move on, I want to touch on one more thing you talked about. When you were describing your time with the Ammons law firm, you said that Mr. Ammons could see that you were wanting more tasks, wanting more challenges. A lot of times it's hard to communicate that. Like, I know some, forgive me for saying, but a lot of times female attorneys may not want to appear like they want more, or even young male attorneys don't want to appear like the jerk gunner at the firm who's trying to be the golden boy.
Right.
Somehow you were able to display, hey, I want more challenge, and it was recognized in such a manner that he said, we're going to help you go on your own. Can you talk about that process?
He tasked me with a lot of cases. We get big cases against large manufacturers, corporate manufacturers, and he does have a large team. There's 12 lawyers, and I was the youngest. And I was also, at the time I started, only the second female to work with him. The female attorneys were, far and few. So getting to the larger case docket where it was me and him was difficult. And I was always showing him I was willing to do that and do more by working on my own docket with my own paralegal. But then after hours, I would go in his file and edit or draft or give my opinion briefs on some of his cases, just showing him that I am capable of working on these larger cases I would show him deposition outlines of questions I might do if I was to do this deposition, even though he hadn't even given me the chance to do it. Just showing him I'm always prepared. And then if somebody never couldn't do anything or had a conflict on their calendar, I would be the first one to go to him and say, I can fill this depo. I can fill this date. They're in court. Just want you to know I'm open. So constantly just showing him instead of telling him what I want, but actually showing him my work and saying, I'm ready if you need me. I think that's how he noticed I was wanting more and I wanted to get to that level faster than he expected because I was young and, you know, he gave me a smaller docket at first.
Awesome. This is really just a case study on how to succeed as an attorney. Because what you're saying is, okay, yes, you did your own work, but without being told, you proactively said, how else can I add value in this firm? You know, and I'm sure you as a business owner now know how hard it is to find self-starters, to find people who you don't have to hold their hand so that you can do your work and they can do the work that you're paying them to do.
Right.
That is just, I hope a lot of law students watch this and really pay attention to everything you just said about that process.
Yeah, you have to find how else you can bring value to someone who owns a firm like the Ammons Law Firm and has everything they need. What else can you contribute than just your case docket? You know, finding other ways to make yourself valuable is extremely crucial, especially here when there's a lot of attorneys and you want to find a way to stand out.
Right. And I'm sure at the Ammons firm, everyone there is a superstar. You know, so how do you, as the youngest attorney, stand out amongst superstar experienced lawyers?
And Adam was the #1 scorer on the state bar exam in Texas. So that's my colleague. You know, he made the #1 score in the whole entire state. And then there's me, you know. Yeah. He also ran for state representative, almost won. So this is the kind of attorneys I was working with in the environment. And
wow. So one of the attorneys there was the #1 state bar score?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Adam, he's a genius.
You know, congratulations, so, Adam.
There's a lot of smart people here. You've got to find a way to stand out and give more value, whether you're good at marketing or you're good at business generation or you're good at writing. Just contributing that value in any way you can to show your boss that you are a superstar too.
Okay, so we're going to start winding this down. In this video, I'm going to have where we can find you. I'm going to flash it across the screen, the kind of law you practice. Can you once again tell us primarily the kind of cases that you handle?
So I only handle personal injury cases, catastrophic injury cases, 18-wheeler cases, product defect cases, auto defect cases, and wrongful death.
Okay, and then your office is in Houston, but do you take national clients? Are you mainly Texas clients? How's that work?
I do. I can take cases throughout the United States, and I do have clients in other states, but my practice is based in Houston, Texas.
Okay, great. Now we're going into the hot seat. 3 quick fire questions. Just answer whatever comes up the top of your head, okay? Question number 1 is the biggest mistake you've made starting your own firm.
Let's see. I think one of the biggest mistakes that I've made in starting my own firm is putting out an ad saying I'm hiring and sending it to my personal email because it's flooded with applications and calls, and now I have learned send it to your intake email, your general email. Don't give away your personal law email online for the whole world in posting forums. So that was actually a big mistake. I'm still getting applications to this day. I never knew it was so easy to get applications, but I have hundreds of emails still unopened for paralegal positions that have been filled. So
oh, geez,
that was a rookie mistake.
Okay, that's a good one. And then this question sometimes makes people cry, so don't cry on me.
Okay.
Why did you go to law school?
Well, I knew I wanted to be a lawyer. I told you in college I worked for some personal injury firms. I got to experience people who had gone through life altering accidents and injuries because it was still a personal injury firm. And I actually got to go to trial on some of those cases with my bosses during college. And seeing the change that going through the trial process had on my clients and the relief they felt when it was settled and done and that they had their voice heard motivated me to want to work and help people just like that. And that's one of the main reasons I wanted to go to law school because I truly felt how you can turn someone's life around that had been in a life altering accident and make the world a better place, honestly. As cheesy as that sounds, lawyers have that power, and I wanted to have that power too.
Yeah, great answer. Okay, what do you think is the biggest challenge facing female attorneys in 2021?
One of the biggest challenges being a female, no matter what kind of law you do, is getting judged based on your appearance or just being a woman in general. Because you're going to go through a lot, even getting hired, versus what a man would go through. If you have a family, they're going to want to know about that because will you be able to commit as much time to your practice if you have kids at home or if you're planning to have kids? Or if you don't speak multiple languages, that may also be a challenge if you're a woman because a lot of the times if you have a male boss, they want you to translate or be the translator because some of the clients work better with women in the room. And women also have a challenge whenever they're trying to be pretty upfront about things in law with men and having a man boss and having to confront them about certain issues in the law without coming off as bitchy, for lack of a better word. You've got to really watch your posture and how you convey things to your boss as a woman because you don't want to come off as too emotional, for example. So these are all challenges that I've heard women face, I've faced. So you've got to watch every step and just show them you can be logical, you're not emotional, and you have to put in your time and effort to prove that.
Okay, great answer. Thanks for sitting through the hot seat. And thank you again, Mariah. Attorney Miriah Soliz, the Soliz Law Firm out of Houston, Texas. Where's the best place we can find you?
You can find me on my website, which is thesolizlawfirm.com. You can find me on Instagram. My personal Instagram is @mariah.s, and my Instagram for my law firm is @the Soliz Law Firm.
The Soliz Law Firm. Okay.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna have those flashed across the screen. They'll be in the video description and on my website blog post for this interview. But I appreciate you coming out for the interview. Thank you so much for supporting the YouTube channel. And I'm gonna close out the show, everybody. Thanks for watching the Lawyer Marketing Show. We're gonna go ahead and stop at 3, 2, 1. Stop recording.